o'clock.
All right. We'll wait for Rosie to get back.
I'm sorry. If I didn't get it now, I would have totally forgotten about it. Thank you, Jeff, for getting this done so quickly.
Nope. Thank you, finance folks.
All right.
Oh, did I not sign it?
You got that one to sign yet.
Okay.
And you
Did I not sign that? I didn't sign that one either.
Well, I signed for you. Sign for me.
How kind of you. Oh, my God. What a day.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I am just getting the agenda.
Are we ready in there?
It's a good thing we're friends, Sean.
All right. Well, I will call meeting of the Select Board, otherwise known as the Board of Selectmen, maybe for the last time, to order.
Many months to go.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's got to be approved
Strike
yet.
that. Strike that.
Corinne's gonna hold you to process, don't worry.
For Monday, 18th of 2021 at 7:02, and we'll take roll call.
Darcy Dale here.
Dale's here. Well, actually, we're all here. We don't even have to do it
don't
on
even have
Zoom.
to.
You do, well, and Bill's not here, so right now you don't have to do roll call.
Thanks.
Anyway, the four of us are here, and we expect Bill a little later. Shall we do the Pledge of Allegiance? Do that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Separate us.
All right, so I'll read through the list of board and committee openings, and so Finance and Advisory Committee, 2 associate openings available. Conservation Commission, 2 openings. The Hamilton Historic District Commission has 1 opening. Open Space Committee has 2 openings. Hamilton Planning Board, associate member is 1 opening. Hamilton Affordable Housing Trust has 1 opening. And the Hamilton Human Rights Commission has 1 opening for somebody, I think, appointed through the Housing Authority. And now we will have 3 minutes or so for public comment on topics that are not already on the agenda. So there's no one in the memorial room except for Corinne.
I think John
I
Davis
think
is,
there's somebody there
I
that
think
wants
John
to.
Davis is trying to,
All right, and so then out in the virtual world,
he's muted.
I'll recognize Mr. John Jefferson, Dr. John Jefferson Davis.
Oh, thank you very much. Just a quick comment. I'm speaking for Friends of Downtown Hamilton, but just have a question of advice from the board, and it relates to the war memorial honoring World War II Korean and Vietnam War vets in front of the town hall. And unfortunately, the memorial is marred by a lot of either mold or some dark substance which obscures the names of our vets, and it's not really honoring to them. And since it's in front of Town Hall, it's not a good image for the Town Hall. So can the board direct me to whom should a request to clean off the surface be directed? I just don't know who the proper person would be to ask.
Mr. Davis, if it's all right, I'd just like to interject. This town manager, Joe Domalovitz, this issue has been brought to our attention. It's been referred to the DPW director. The town has for many years been working with the veterans group at the Legion, and we're in touch with them to try to get that taken care of. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, and we appreciate all the work that you guys are doing.
Oh, it's true. Thank you.
All right, and is there anybody else for public comment on things not on the agenda? Does not appear to be so. So we'll move on to the next section of the agenda for select person and town manager reports. Is there anybody who would like to start as a select board?
I actually, I think for the first time, I don't have anything, maybe for the second time. I don't have anything. I got nothing.
All right. Anyone else?
I will be very brief in that we had a CPC meeting where we just basically, we talked about some of our open grants and monies that we have, and talked about mainly the turf project or the athletic field project that is looking to be on the horizon sometime soon for the school department, and funding and kind of different mechanisms that they're looking at. One is CPC, of course. The other is some of the money that we have in the stabilization fund for the same purpose. And that was kind of the bulk of that meeting. And then also the rec department news. If you haven't driven by Patton Park, the tennis courts and basketball courts look amazing. They're very, very brightly colored and look good. That's it.
All right. Rosie?
Yep, hi. I have a few things. First thing is I've been helping out at the town public health nurse and regional coalition to get COVID vaccine boosters into people's arms. In holy mackerel, we have been inundated with a lot of very willing people, so that's been fun. I've been doing that on Wednesday afternoons, and boy, it's really busy and fun, so I appreciate being there, and I appreciate everybody stepping up and making sure that you're well protected against the COVID. Second thing is, I do notice this is on the agenda for tonight, but I just wanted to give a special thanks to George Tarr, who's worked very hard to edit the MOU, is it an MOU or an MOA for the 9.1 acres, and also the open space surrounding the Patton Homestead to make that area fairly protected, some of it in the long run, some of it in the short run, but to make sure that it stays a good place for citizens to go visit. Next, I'd like to thank Robin and Jack Davis and my son Mike, who was the luggee in this instance, for a donation of a great picnic table that they have planned for down at Weaver Pond in Patton Park. I've seen the table. It's really sturdy, but we will have the DPW take a look at it, and then we will have the Board of Selectmen officially accept the gift. So thank you for your efforts to all concerned. And then finally, just another quick comment about a project that I have in mind to provide the senior citizens at the COA with a little dance entertainment via students of the Bosoma School of Dance. I've talked to Bosoma, and they are absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity to have their students dance for the seniors. And I'd like to thank Kaya Olson for initially telling me that she was dancing, and hopefully that will be happening sometime in mid-November. So I think that's all I had to say tonight.
Rosie, did you say that you were giving the booster shots on Wednesdays? Would that be at the COA?
It is. It's at the senior center.
Okay.
It's at the senior center, right? And we had a gazillion walk-ins last week, and it was pretty overwhelming. So Rachel Lee does request that people make appointments. I mean, we're really happy to see so many people there, but holy mackerel, it was wild.
Is it just Pfizer, or is it Moderna and Johnson & Johnson?
Well, last week, I will tell you that only the Pfizer had been approved for booster vaccines, and now it's also Moderna. So hold on to your hats. I think it's going to be even busier. Yeah. But also, we're doing first and second vaccines as well. So we have a mix of people. So please do go online for the sign-up site. I don't have the address off the top of my head, but if you call Town Hall tomorrow, we would be very happy to give you the exact login address.
All right, thank you. And I don't have anything too critical to report. Joe?
Yeah, I have a town manager report that was late today, but partly because when I finished it, I thought I sent it and I didn't, so I didn't send it to you all until about 6 o'clock. I will just real quickly hit a couple of high points. Just a reminder to everybody that special town meeting is this Saturday, October 23rd. This time, it will be outdoors again under a tent, but it will be at Patton Park, not at the high school. There's a conflict with use of the field by the high school team, so we were going to be outdoors under a tent at Patton Park, beginning at 9 a.m. on Saturday. There are currently 6 active cases of COVID in town, including a toddler and a toddler's parent. There are also 4 students on campus at Gordon-Conwell and 7 other residents in town quarantining after being identified as close contacts, but none of them have tested positive yet. The number of cases, hospitalizations, and deaths are down over the past 7 days across the state and in Essex County, so that's good news. COVID does seem to be going down, trending down right now at the moment. And just real quickly, I wanted to let people know that once we turn our attention from the special town meeting after this weekend, we'll be getting right into the thick of budget season. We're going to be getting started real soon. Toward that vein, the chairs of the 2 boards of selectmen in Hamilton and Wenham, the 2 FinComs in the 2 communities, and the school administration met last week for about an hour, hour and a half, just to kind of talk about how we'd like the budget process to play out this year. It was a more of a general discussion about the process, and it wasn't about specifics and asks and budgets and such, but it was just to kind of get us all on the same page. So it was a good, productive meeting, and they'll be meeting again. We've worked it into the schedule to have 2 meetings between the 5 boards in the school committee's budget adoption process instead of just 1. So that's all good news and should lead to a more collaborative and engaged process. So I'll stop there.
I would like to amend the consent agenda at some point. I don't know. There's just a date that I have to correct before we accept
Okay.
or vote the motion.
Well, that is our next item, is the consent agenda.
Okay.
So
I'll make a motion that we edit the August 23rd, 2021 date of selectmen minutes from the 23rd to August 26th, please.
So moved.
Second?
That was my mistake. I apologize.
We're all thinking of the 23rd, that's STM.
Right.
all right, and any further discussion?
Yeah, I'll make a general motion, I guess, to include, I don't know, did you do it, Darcy, or did you just do for that one?
I just did it for
amendment?
that one.
All right, so then I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, including the updated date on the minutes for the Board of Selectmen meeting.
Oh, I thought we just did that.
Well, we didn't actually
We didn't
vote.
vote on
Oh,
it.
that's
We didn't
right.
vote on it. We made the whole kind of thing, so
Second.
technical, I guess.
Okay, and yeah, so we have what are they, 5 items on the consent agenda related to the approval of a number of minutes, one of which should read August 26th, 2021, and then temporary signs in front of the Council on Aging, approve the request for the Purple Heart Road Race sign to be at Patton Park, approve the request for the temporary road closure on Chabaco Road for November 6th, and approve the request for the Essex County Trails Association Road Race on November 26th, 2021.
Do we have a second on that?
I did.
Yeah.
You did.
All right.
Yes, there was a second. Yeah.
All right, let's vote it.
All right, any,
No discussion.
No discussion? All right.
all right. Darcy?
No, I don't have any, oh, I thought we were just going to vote aye.
Oh, right. 'Cause Bill-
You're so used to the
Bill-
roll call.
No.
Bill's not on yet, so, all right. Yeah, all in favor of approving the consent
Aye.
agenda?
Aye.
Sorry about that.
We'll get there, Jamie.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
It's so long since we've been able to have everybody and just take a voice vote.
Right?
All right. Sorry, my computer's just being a little weird. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an Eagle Scout project at Cutler Park. presented to us. So I see that Quinn Moynihan is on, and so will anybody else be presenting on this? Quinn, can you show your face?
Hi, Quinn.
Hey.
Go.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome. So, could you introduce yourself, tell us what street you live on, and tell us a little bit about your proposal?
Okay, I'm Quinn Moynihan. I live on 25 Rush Street. And what I'm proposing is I'll be making 3 picnic tables that will be placed at Color Park, which one is going to be handicap accessible with a longer end on it.
Okay, and you said 3, is that right?
Yeah, 3 new ones.
So why don't you show you a picture of what
Yeah.
Quinn is proposing?
Do we have picnic tables there now, Joe?
We have one.
We do?
There's one table and one chair there right now. One bench, one table and one bench right now. Yeah, let me,
The bench is there. I guess I didn't know that we had a table.
Hold on. Gotta get this. Okay.
All right, just bear with us,
Yeah, I
public.
gotta find the shot. Here, hold on.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So that's the,
And one of these, Quinn, will just have a longer kind of a, I guess I'll call it a deck or a top to it, so
An
the
overhang.
wheelchair can go to
Cantilever.
Yeah.
there's
one
another one
side.
of that one here. So,
Overhang, yeah, that's good.
and that's,
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, that's
so,
so nice.
look, like that, so.
Sounds good to me.
All right,
Wonderful.
all right.
Yeah,
Anybody have any questions, or?
I just have a couple of questions. So, can you tell me, are you going to make these yourself? I'm so impressed. Or do you have somebody who's mentoring you? I mean, the Boy Scouts who've come in here to make things, I'm absolutely blown away by their abilities.
Yeah, I'll be, my dad will probably be supervising, so we'll be making probably my house, then we'll bring him to the park.
Well, they're really, really nice.
Quinn, what's your timeline? What's your scout project got to be completed by? You trying to get it done before it gets snowy in the park?
Yeah, possibly. I'll try to do that. So I'll probably start the first week of November and have it done by the second week of December, hopefully.
It's wonderful,
All right, good.
really wonderful.
And you've already asked your dad, and he's agreed to help amongst his
Yeah.
busy legal
Yeah.
career?
Yeah, right.
All right.
Thank you, Quinn. I think it's a wonderful project, and
Okay.
I'm proud to support it.
It is unbelievable. I mean, the Boy Scouts have really come up to bat for so many things that have been so helpful to the town, and we're just really, really grateful.
Yeah, we've had a flood of Eagle Scout projects in the last year or so.
We're lucky.
I'll make a motion to approve the Eagle Scout project for Cutler Park by Quinn here.
Second.
Yes.
All right, and all in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Thank you, Quinn.
All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
you guys.
Unanimously passed.
Yay.
Thank you again, Quinn, and good luck.
Thank you, guys.
Before we move on to the next I'll let you know that Eric Krathwall of ECTA was on for the consent agenda vote, and he thanked the board on behalf of ECTA for
Perfect.
Thanksgiving race. Cool.
All right. It's good to have people show up. All right, the next item on our agenda is to vote on, presumably approve, but a vote on the appointment of David Perrin, Chief, to the Zoning Board of Appeals as a full member.
So moved.
Second.
All right. And
David's
Any-
not here, but I know. but
Bill is on. Bill, are you on? I know you're here as moderator, I assume, but
We, the board, we support having David move up to a regular member. He's stepped up because our Eric Selene's moved out of town, and David's been very conscientious and been, has thoughtful input on our decisions. So I think he'd be good to be the regular member.
Great.
good to me.
All right. Any further discussion?
Well,
No?
if it's good enough for Bill, it's good enough for me.
All right. All in favor of appointing David Parent-Chief as a full member of the ZBA?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, passes unanimously. All right. Next agenda item is to discuss and vote on the change to 2 voting precincts, and we have our town clerk, Corinne Kale, with us. Stepped up to the mic.
Thank you for having me. My name is Corinne Kale, Town Clerk. So the purpose of this presentation is twofold: to discuss the 2020 U.S. Census process and numbers. I think we've chatted about those in the past, but now to bring it all together. And then to discuss the impact those numbers have on us here in Hamilton as it pertains to our number of voting precincts. As a reminder, the historic typical process is that the locals select or they map out the local precincts, and then they become the building block for legislative districts, which then become the building block for congressional districts. This year has been very different. You'll probably have seen in the news this week, that the legislature has released their proposal about their legislative districts prior to receiving the approved plans from all the local communities with the plans that have been generated locally. So it's a very, very different and interesting process. So if you're reading about it and it seems maybe even a little confusing, with good reason. It hasn't happened like this before. So fortunately for Hamilton and what the legislature released, we are still one town and in one legislative district. We could have a whole nother meeting to talk about the implications of change on some of our neighboring communities, but I think the headline there is that Hamilton and Wenham are no longer in the same legislative district, so that's going to have some different implications, good and possibly bad. So as we've talked about before, the 2020 U.S. Census data, when it was released, showed that Hamilton's population decreased by 203 people, or 2.6%, from 2010, bringing us to a population of 7,561. So at the same time, Wenham grew, Manchester grew, Topsfield grew, the Commonwealth as a whole grew by 7.4%. So it did seem worth exploring and understanding how it was that Hamilton kind of stood out a little differently. On the other side of the census with housing stock, which is part of what drives the number, our housing stock did increase by 45 units, or 1.6%. The rest of the state was increasing by 6.8, but at least we were increasing on that number. So I spent a lot of time on the phone with the Secretary of State's office staff, and then they led me to the UMass Donahue Institute staff, who are the ones who work on the nuts and bolts of the numbers. And I learned quite a bit from them. They work literally at a block-by-block level that is compiled by the individuals who do the, literally boots to the sidewalks review of what's going on in communities. So I did ask the Donahue Institute specifically to look at the Gordon Conwell Seminary, because we kind of knew that would be something that was greatly influencing our numbers. So kind of the theory was to test that and see, was that part of the explanation or the entire explanation for why our numbers are so different than our neighboring communities. So I went back and forth with them, and indeed they came back and confirmed that the population at the seminary decreased by 275.
Wow.
And likewise the number of housing units there decreased by 14. So our population went down by 203, but 275 was strictly from the seminary. So if you net that out, our population shows slight growth, around 70 people. That was offset by the decrease on the campus there. So where does that leave us regarding the number of voting precincts? Currently, as you know, we have 3, and the rules of precincting are when a population is under 8,000, I should say, when a population is up to 6,000, it only has to be one precinct. So that's why Wenham is one precinct, Manchester is one precinct, Essex has been one precinct. Once you get beyond that, then you have to look at multiple precincts. So under 8,000 only requires 2 precincts. So now that we are under 8,000, we really only do need to have 2 precincts. No individual precinct can be greater than 4,000. So we can definitely have 2. And that's what I've been looking at, speaking to other clerks, speaking to other individuals. So what I want to share with you is what I've learned there. If we were to go to 2, what are the pros, what are the cons? So obviously voter access, the impact on the voters is #1 concern. So you say to yourself, is that going to really make a difference? But it seems like in this day and age, now that the legislature is moving to make permanent vote by mail and early in-person voting for many weeks at a time, less and less people will be showing up at the precincts on election day. So it didn't seem like that would be a huge drawback. Even this year for our annual town election, 10% voted early. So 100 of our 981 voters voted early. And the presidential election, obviously that was more in the heat of many more COVID concerns, but only 29% showed up to vote at the polls. The rest were either early or vote by mail. So I do think we have less people showing up, so I'm not concerned that moving to 2 precincts would mean huge lines out the door or tremendous problems for the voters. So then the other advantages that jumped out at me is obviously with only 2 precincts, you got fewer poll workers to recruit, train, schedule, and pay. It's really a lot of work to make an election happen. And quite honestly, right now I'm struggling because a lot of the poll workers who showed up out of the woodwork and jumped into volunteer last fall, we sent around letters asking them for their interest in helping now, and we did not hear back. So we are struggling to fill all that. We're fine, but my next project is going to be a complete new recruitment process to find an adequate number of poll workers. So certainly going down to 2 precincts would be a tremendous benefit in that regard. With fewer precincts, we have fewer boxes to store. And you go down into the basement and there's lots of boxes because ballots or releases have to remain separate. So that'll be a really benefit to have less of that stacking up around the building. And for local elections, we only need to maintain all the ballots for 30 days. But for federal, state elections, it's 22 months. So stuff really does have to linger for quite some time. Setting up and breaking down the polling site will be much more streamlined if there's only 2 precincts. The cost for programming the machines, I mean, those machines, it's very complicated. You know, the cards have to come for putting into each box in order to read the ballots. So if we've only got 2 and not 3, that will trim the costs there as well. And another very important thing that I'm learning a lot about and have on my project list is the contingency planning in the event of a disaster. It is expected that communities as a whole, but most specifically as it pertains to elections, have contingency plans. So as I was walking in with Sean today, I said, you know, if heaven forbid, a truck runs into the rec center on some Wednesday afternoon, and we can't use that location for an election, where am I going to move an election to? You've got to have Plan B. We right now do have an evacuation plan. If on the day of the election something happens there, a fire breaks out, the alarms get pulled, the plan that I have in the works with both chiefs is to move the election over to the fire station. Get the trucks out of the maze and set up an election. So that was good. You know, I was at a conference recently and not a lot of clerks even had that kind of plan in effect yet. So that's great. I built it off of some files that were here that I think probably go back to Jane's day, so that was really nice to have. But now I got to take it another step further for that entire contingency plan. So if it's only 2 precincts to set up the logistics, whether it be the fire station or the Council on Aging or look at some other options, 2 precincts would be logistically much easier for us to deal with. 10 years from now, if our population goes back up over the 8,000, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it and go back to 3 precincts. But right now, again, based on what I've learned, I'm proposing that we do go down to the 2 precincts. Oh, and I'm sorry, I sent you all the map, and, I know it's a little good, it's on the screen. It was really quite amazing when it came back. I mean, the break between precinct 1 and precinct 2 is pretty much Bay Road.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no, I didn't know what to anticipate, because you go back and forth to the Secretary of State's office, and they send these drafts, and you can push back on them. But it's pretty much right up Bay Road until you get to the farther northern corner, and then you have to swing it a little bit to give us two precincts that are under 4,000 voters. Any questions, any concerns that I didn't think about?
I think it's interesting that they tried to split it between under 4,000, right, to kind of keep it in the right, but it's interesting that it's almost split in half.
I know, look at that.
You know, you would have, like, usually I'm kind of used to the density of downtown, thinking that maybe downtown would be a precinct and then kind of the surrounding areas would be something, but it just kind of shows that the population's pretty spread out in Hamilton.
Good observation.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
What will happen to people who are in precinct 3? Will they automatically go to precinct 2?
Oh, good question, thank you. No, it actually kind of goes both
Okay.
directions. Yeah, because I mean, Hamilton was two precincts before, 1 and 2, obviously. And when precinct 3 came in, it went in the middle of it. So my brain actually was very linear, and it was like 1, 3, 2. It was crazy
Yeah.
why you have 3 in the middle, but
Yeah.
that's just the way that worked. So basically, it's 3 that then gets spread back out on either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And the implementation of it, a lot of the work happens by the Secretary of State's office
Ah.
in the voter system to assign people to a new precinct.
Yeah.
But then I do have to send out letters to
Yeah.
everybody so that they know what their new precinct would be, and it will be in time for local election next spring.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, when does this kind of go into effect?
Your approval of the plan is due, and there's a document to sign. Plan is due by the end of this month, October 30th. And then, yeah, it's in effect.
And they'll get notifications from you and/or the state, you said, to tell them that they're, just you? And I would assume you're gonna do it after this election, so that no one's confused
Yeah,
on,
because it has to be approved at a
Yeah.
couple of other levels.
Couple levels, yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely after the, no, it's definitely not until next calendar
Yep.
year.
okay, perfect.
Question.
Interesting times.
Do you think that Gordon was just a decline in enrollment, or do you think it was because some of our numbers with our census stuff was a little bit off, possibly? Or a combination of the two?
I honestly don't know.
Don't know.
I honestly don't know. It was just the black and white. What were the numbers then? What were the numbers now?
Did everyone return their census data, their
The
census
census-
forms?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Census data, the census forms locally, no, not
Okay.
everyone returned them. We had to send out over 1,500 notices to people who became inactive voters this year. Because that's what happens. If you don't return your street list census,
Yep.
and that's a vehicle to say who lives here. You can go to the assessor's office and ask who owns property.
Yep.
It doesn't tell you who lives there. Is
Right.
it one person? Is it 5 people? What are their ages? You know, so the only way we know who lives here is people who return their street list and census information. And a lot of people in the building rely on that, whether it's
Yeah.
DPW needing to get a hold of someone for a water bill, or Peggy
Yeah.
came to see me today trying to track something down for someone with a tax issue. So that's a really important database, but some people, I think last year might have gotten a little confused because of the US Census.
Right.
They thought
We had two
were-
censuses,
Oh.
kind of, yeah.
So believe it or not, we're already queuing up next year's forms,
Yeah.
because they go out at the end of December. So I'm already working on the drafts of that, and so those will be ready to go out. And we're actually even trying to rearrange some of it, so right up top it says, please, it's supposed to be by law, returned
Yes.
in 10 days.
Right.
We're supposed to be able to kind of get this updated and close down that project that right now has been lasting 8 and 9 months. It's, you know, it's very challenging to get that information, but I'm hoping that, again, now that it's not gonna be the confusion of completing
Yep.
your US Census, that folks will be, a little bit more in tune to it. I'll work with, Tim Wilson to get the notices on the LED boards again,
Oh, good.
and, you know, do everything we can to communicate out to people. You know, Bobby Gates is always great about getting stuff on Facebook. In fact, today I was in contact with him because it said town meeting was at the high school, because he had posted it so long ago.
Mhm.
And so I caught that this weekend, and so I sent him an email and said, can we make that correction? And I also put the correction on Facebook, so now that's all fixed. So Bobby's great. I mean, he responds quickly, gets it out there, so, you know, when it comes to the census information, I'll take the same approach and make sure we get it out there. But anybody listening right now, that document really, really is very, very important for us to know who lives in town. Thank you for asking about that.
All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the, what do you call it, redistricting, correct?
Change to do.
Change?
A new district plan for the town of Hamilton to 2 precincts.
Second?
All right, and I assume there is no further discussion? Oh,
No, I was gonna vote, I'm getting
Oh,
ready.
you're anticipating?
all right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously.
Thank you, Corinne.
And then the next item on the agenda is to approve the election warrant for the 4th District Essex Special Election offered by the town clerk. We've all received it in our packet.
Do we have to read anything for this, or is it just a simple approval? Do you know? 'Cause sometimes we gotta read a certain thing, but I don't know if we do.
I don't
I
think
don't
you
think
need
we
to.
do.
No.
Joe, can I take a look at that? Thank you.
I'll make a motion and then we can discuss if we need to. I move that we approve the election warrant for the 4th District Essex Special Election as offered by the town clerk.
Second.
Looks fairly straightforward. I didn't really see
Yeah.
anything to discuss, I guess.
Tuesday, the 2nd of November, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., right?
The Recreation Center in.
At the rec center, yeah.
All right, no further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I have to abstain because I am on that ballot.
All right. Passes unanimously with 3 voting members and 1 abstention. All right. Next item is the one-day liquor license for October the 30th, 2021 event at Homestead. All right, and I know who the, it doesn't look like the applicant is on, right?
No, he isn't.
No, I'll make a motion and then we can discuss. So I move that we approve the one-day liquor license for the event October 30th, 2021 at the Patton Homestead.
I'll second it.
And so this is for, it looks like a wedding from 3 until 10 or something like that?
Yeah, it's,
And they've got a caterer, they've got pages and pages of application information and insurance, it looks like, from what I saw earlier.
the caterer does have a 12C license, so is authorized under state law, has a license to serve at events like this, and so.
So I'm just wondering why the applicant isn't here.
And to
Thought that was a requirement.
Can we table, and I can try to see if I can
That's a
get the
good
applicant to
idea.
respond?
Yeah.
Zach?
So I have a couple of questions just in general. So looking at the time frame of this, it says from 3:30 until,
30, I think.
is it 10:30 or 11:30? I think.
3:30 to 10:30.
Okay. So I thought that events were supposed to be for 5 hours. So
I think that the event time, They'll be done because we don't want them, particularly if they have any outdoor activity, we don't want them doing anything past 10 PM.
I thought 9 o'clock, according
o'clock, yeah,
to
9
our
o'clock. Okay,
policy,
so-
it says 9
So
o'clock.
I think that they're just including time to clean up and stuff afterwards. I don't believe that 10:30 is like guests leaving and stuff. They should be all gone by then.
But don't they have an assigned half hour or hour after the event itself to clean up? I think, I appreciate that, right, it says here,
Oh, I see.
function,
You can see on the
function rental agreement, it says from 3:30 to 11:30.
right, and then when you go down, it says 10:30.
Yeah. But I thought that it was for 5 hours, events are for 5 hours, so I understand this is a new source of entertainment for the town, and so I think that it's important that we be consistent about the requirements and the boundaries of these events.
So,
So I'm just confused that things are a little inconsistent.
how about, what do you think about tabling it until the end? Until later in the meeting, and we can see if we can get the applicant on?
Yeah, I'm okay
Hopefully
with
to
that.
Some of those questions answered.
That's fine with me as well.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll table that one for now, and the next item on the agenda is the draft script for the special town meeting. Discussion and vote.
So refresh my memory, Jamie or Darcy or Rosie, did we already speak to who is going to talk to which motion?
No, we have
No, I
not
think
done
that's
that
what we're
yet.
doing now.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I know we talked about some of the script, but not who was going to do what, I don't think.
Right, and I don't think we had the script last meeting.
We didn't have it, no.
Right.
No. All right. So we've reviewed this, we've had the script in our packet. Anybody have any particular questions? And then obviously we need to assign
Right,
or
so
talk
maybe,
about who is.
right, so maybe we should start to see how many things that, I mean, we've got a fairly short agenda. Is there anything that we could put on the consent motion? Prior bills can't go on because it's a 9/10 vote. It would require everything else on the consent motion to be a 9/10.
Right.
The budget amendment,
And
that
doesn't,
one's a simple majority, correct?
But don't you anticipate people want an explanation of why it's there?
Yeah,
that's-
probably.
yeah.
yeah, I think,
Because like me, they would,
Election staffing is the next one.
right. So that is a
Is that
majority,
2
and
point-
then-
Simple majority vote.
And then
Yeah.
one of the bylaw ones is majority and one of them's not, right?
Right.
Zoning bylaws is,
But the zoning bylaw, again, that
Two-thirds.
might be something that people want to talk about. Change of the name might
Right.
engender some discussion.
I don't think there's really anything we can put, I mean, we could put things on it, but I don't think we want to. You know, some of the things we could require, like Joe said, a little bit of explanation.
yeah.
I don't think it'd require much heavy lifting, but
Right.
I really don't see anything to put on the consent agenda.
And I think it's also good, since it is a short meeting, it's
Yeah.
also an opportunity to engage people and just what the heck are you people doing up there, right? What are you asking us to consent to? And it
We
might
have a
be,
lot of new people in town, too, so maybe having it, not so compressed, maybe a little
Sure.
spread
But
out a little
still-
bit might
but
make it easier to understand.
Right, but still promising people that we're not going to belabor things, right?
Right.
Right, well, it's up to them, isn't it?
So then I guess, since seems like we're not gonna do anything on the consent, so would we just take no action on 1-1? Is that what we would do? Somebody to make a motion just to bypass it? I guess
Are we approving the
I've yet to
script?
have a town meeting where we haven't had something on the consent motion.
Moderator, do you have any suggestions?
And Mr. Bowler, do you have a
Yes.
workaround for that or a suggestion?
I think we can just pass over it.
Yep.
And I'll explain the
Process or whatever.
why we're not doing it. So,
All right, fair enough.
Somebody could make a motion on the floor to do it, but
You could.
there we go. Okay, and then, Jesus,
2-1, prior year bills is the next one out.
yeah.
I would assume maybe a FinCom member would want to do prior year bills.
Yeah, so I know Christina is on.
Christina, do you care to comment on any of these for the FinCom?
I just wanted to volunteer to take on any of them that the board wanted us to, so that would be fine. We can do that one.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
All right, and then,
And then you'll just follow up with Joe to tell him who's doing it, or Mr. Bowler, or both?
Yes.
Perfect.
I could probably look up who wrote the recommendation and make that person do it, but yeah, I'll let them know specifically who's going to do it.
all right, and then the next article, 2-2, is the amendment to the budget.
We could put that
FinCom.
on the FinCom as well.
Okay.
Sound good, Christina?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. And then we have election staffing, 2-3. Anybody have any thoughts? Do we want to give it the FinCom? Does one of us want to do it? Don't all jump at
Don't
once.
everybody rush to volunteer.
Crickets.
Well, Bill's our chair, he could choose to.
We'll make him do it.
Yeah, that's
He's not
usually
here to
fine.
defend himself.
Or
When
usually
when you're not here, you
steps
get
up.
volunteered for things, that's a...
Right.
Right, and well, actually, I don't know if Bill is going to be able to
Oh,
be
yeah.
here
Oh,
this
that's right.
weekend.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's
Bill's-
the other kind of,
He might
Like-
not be able to make it?
yeah, I think he's got a wedding in
Oh.
Yeah, out of...
Chicago or out of state or somewhere that he's got to be at, prior commitment.
Well, then the vice
So
chair.
we
can
can't
step up.
throw him under the bus, but,
Well, that's why we have a vice chair.
right, there you go.
Yeah, I'll
Jamie, you want to do
I'll be
election
glad to
staffing?
Yep.
take that one.
Okay. And then 3-1, general bylaws, board of selectmen name change.
3-2.
Or
Oh, I'll take that one.
No,
Is it 3-1 or
3-1
3-2?
and 3-2.
It's true.
Well,
Do you ladies want to each do one of those? Right, because there's 3-1 and 3-2? Right, they're the same thing but different, correct?
Or should we do a motion to
Oh,
consolidate?
because one
for
is the
yeah, I was just
zoning
gonna say,
bylaw.
why don't we consolidate, and that way it saves a little time.
No, the
They're
different...
different.
No, no,
Can't do it?
yeah, I
Okay.
know, for discussion.
Oh, but you want
No.
it
Oh, for discussion?
for purposes, sorry.
Yeah, I think we could do that. Mr. Buller, what do you think? If we combine 3-1 and 3-2 for discussion purposes, but have two separate motions?
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay.
So Darcy, do you and Rosie want to rock, scissors, paper on who does 3-1 or 3-2?
Well, since it was my initiative, I think I will take it. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Perfect. And then the home rule petition, 3-3.
I will take that one if nobody wants to step up.
Sure. We're moving right along now. 3-4 is the National Grid easement.
I'll take it.
All right.
It's the only one people are going to be cheering for. Instead of booing me off the stage, they're going to be happy. We hope.
And that's all she wrote.
Does everybody have something fun to do? I mean, something to, yes, it'll be a nice event.
And do we have anybody that we need to recognize while we're talking about any of
Oh,
this
yes,
stuff, do you
Brad
think?
Nichols.
There is that.
And we've got Mr. Hill's thing, but
Yeah.
is there any other kind of, I know sometimes we have Tim come if we've got a water article or something like that, but is there anybody else really? I don't think we need anybody, do we?
No, unless you wanted to, unless Jamie wanted to recognize Corinne about the election staffing issue. I don't.
I would say that would be the only thing, but I would even say if you were just ready to do it if somebody asked about it, I guess. Because I don't know if anybody will ask, but if they do.
That's a good idea.
Would Jamie as vice chair make the presentation at Red Hill?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I could do it if you don't want to do it, Jamie. It doesn't matter. We can,
I think you should do it.
okay, I'll do it.
Which one are you doing?
Our,
Got the
Thanking
the
Brad Hill.
legacy,
our,
I'll work with Bill.
what am I trying to say here?
I don't know.
The certificate to Brad.
Oh, nice, nice. Well, I think maybe, I don't know. I mean, he's so awesome. Maybe we should just sort of crowd around him or something. You know?
Yeah, if you want,
I'm
I can say
serious.
a few words and we can all kind of get up and.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
obviously
yeah, no, I
speak.
think that's great. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
okay.
We're working in here at the beginning before we get into votes to have Bill recognize the board. Okay.
That's nice.
Mr. Moderator, anything that we've missed or anything you want to add?
No, I think just hope we get 75 folks there on Saturday morning.
Yeah, the same.
Well, actually, there's been a lot of encouragement on Facebook and telling people that we're voting for the easement to get that cell tower up and running. So it's kind of a nice enticement to sort of learn about town meeting and to also vote for that. So hopefully it will draw in a crowd.
Hope so.
I know.
all right. So, Joe, this is on, the script and all was on for a discussion and vote.
I
We
think
need to
votes
vote.
on who the movers are. I think it was just a vote.
Yeah, that's not voting, that's
Okay.
volunteering.
All right.
Appointing. All right, I just want to make sure I wasn't missing a vote.
I've seen it occasionally get pushed into, people getting pressured to make it. Well, why didn't you do that?
Right, there's some debate or fighting over who gets to read what motion.
So,
All right. Well, the next item on the agenda is the review of the memorandum of agreement with the Hamilton Conservation Commission for land at Patton Homestead. And we have the draft of MOA in our packet, along with a lot of comments.
Lots of comments.
Which is good.
So what do you think the best attack is here, Joe? I know, Rosie, you've kind of helped a lot with this as well.
Yeah, I was hoping George would be here. He's been the absolute architect of this, and also Brian Colleran, who has just been a rock star getting all of this done.
Brian, Lauren, and George all commented extensively last week.
Okay, now we know who the initials are. Now they make sense
I
to me.
think
Okay.
that, Lauren did point out that it would be good to have the land management plan in as an attachment before.
Yeah, I think so.
Implementing, because they kind of clarify some of the things and answer some of the comments on the section, but if people, if the board is generally happy with the document as it is, comments aside, you could, have a discussion around approving it subject to the land management plan being presented to you, and then it wouldn't go into effect until the LMP was added as an attachment, so that we can clear up all those questions that were raised. That was one way of attacking it. Or you can just give us your feedback on it, and if there are other changes you want us to make, we can go ahead and do that and bring it back for another discussion at a future meeting.
But also, this presupposes a conversation with the Patton Ridge Homeowners Association
So
to be able...
Brian feels that those are kind of separate. I mean, the discussion with the homeowners association is really about kind of a swap of
True, a
easement
swap,
rights,
right, exactly.
But we, we certainly have the ability to do what we want on the part that we already have.
Right.
and,
Okay, okay, yeah, okay, that's
so He
fine.
feels that he didn't feel like that was necessary. Oh, by the way, our applicant is coming on right now as well.
Oh,
so.
perfect.
Make
So-
them wait.
So the Patton Ridge kind of interaction is mostly the easement in that little section of our property that's kind of by them, right?
That's right, to sort of make a trade.
Right.
So,
I mean, I guess kind of next steps here, what's the general consensus? I mean, I think I get the land management plan, some more just kind of, I'm curious about the kind of projected maintenance and cost for different things a little bit. I don't know if Tim or DPW would weigh in on that. I'm not sure if it's minimal or if there's kind of some questions, and I remember the comments that were kind of who's paying for it? Is it DPW's responsibility? Is Conscom gonna do work? Is it gonna be
Some of that's-
professional or volunteer, et cetera?
Some of that is what's supposed to be covered by the land management plan, so largely, other than kind of regular maintenance of the grounds in conformance with what the Conscom wanted,
Right,
we're not signing an agreement that it requires the town to spend any additional money out there, signage,
right.
the garden, things like that, the establishment of the trail. If, as the Conscom is able to develop either funding opportunities or plans to attract or support for
Right.
funding, those things come forward, then those things can be put into place, but it doesn't require us to do any of those things that the Conscom has taken on.
gotcha.
Just if they, if they go out and pursue a grant and they get it, then.
Right, then we do it.
we do it. So,
Yeah, and that's right, George understands that, and when I spoke with Lauren as well, that it's a plan, but it has to be funded from some benevolent source,
Right.
was the understanding.
Right, and the whole genesis of this is to keep it kind of wild or conservation out there that you shouldn't have to maintain other than maybe getting rid of invasive species and
Right.
maybe a mow once or twice a year, depending.
Right, and just keeping an eye on the integrity of the land, right? And, right, so there are some things, so for instance, a few years ago, Gretel Clark encouraged a bunch of us to go out there as volunteers and just get rid of all the weeds and invasives that were popping through on the observation
little dock
deck.
there, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think with this land management plan under control of the Conservation Commission, I mean, they're very diligent, and I'm sure that they will keep a close eye. But they feel that, and they do, they put so much effort into it, and they feel that they should have sort of overarching supervision.
So, I guess my sense is that I would really like to have the people here who are the, really been involved in
Right, all
putting
the
this together to discuss it before we can finalize it. Because I think, the comments, to me, it seems like a very productive draft with
Yeah.
productive comments.
I agree.
But it's hard to capture in our discussion and vote, what's in those comments.
Right.
And then
Should we
I have a
table?
few other
You think?
things as well that I'd like to ask
Oh.
people who are knowledgeable.
Right.
Should we table this
Yeah, so maybe we table it for another time and then
after
And a
STM?
Joint meeting with the.
have a
Conscom.
joint meeting with Conscom, maybe?
Be nice,
I think that's a good idea.
yeah.
Maybe we'll do that after the land management plan has been drafted, so.
Yeah,
we
that's
can
what I was
have-
gonna
That's even
suggest
better.
after
That
the
will,
land.
that
I
will
think,
fill out a lot of the comment. that-
yeah, I think so, because I think we'll be talking about it, not that we're talking about it too much, but it would be a lot more productive after the land management plan is
Oh,
drafted.
here's Virginia Cookson speaking. Virginia? Hi. Can somebody come on and talk to us about the land management, the MOA?
I just called George and he said he could use his computer and see if he couldn't join us.
Okay, super,
Calling you now, just to-
okay. Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, I'm sorry I interrupted.
Not at all, thank you. Sorry, everybody, that was Virginia Cookson from the Concom, and George Tarr is going to try to log on and chat with us about the plan, the MOA. He's really tried hard for a long time to get this to come to fruition, so hopefully if he can log on, that might be helpful. Does that sound like something that would be acceptable? He was the architect of this.
Sure, if he's available. Do we want to maybe go back to the,
Sure.
to the
Yeah, let's
patent homestead?
table this and go back to our previously tabled item.
Yeah.
Untable it.
Untable.
Joined us, so if you want
Okay.
to make a motion to take off the table the.
Yeah, I move that we untable the application for the Patton Homestead event on October 30th. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, October 30th.
Second.
All right.
All right.
And a quick vote on that, Jamie?
Yeah, second, all in favor?
We got a second, we
Oh,
just
yeah.
need a vote on that.
Sorry. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
All right.
All right.
Untabling motion passes unanimously.
Good evening, Arca, how are you? Arca, you there?
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Are you talking to me?
Are you able to show video, or are you calling?
Yes. Sure. Let me just. Hi.
Hello?
Hi, Arca, how are you?
Hi. I'm not able to see you. I don't know. I'm seeing myself twice on the screen.
We're here.
Yeah.
We just had a handful of questions for you about the event.
Okay, sure. Oh, now I see you.
Okay.
All right.
Rosie, do you want to kick it off since you had some questions?
Well, I guess the first thing is, what are the hours? Is this, well, let me back it up even more. Is this an inside or an outside event?
So it's an inside event, as in the fooding, bartending, everything will be inside. Probably outside we can do photo shooting and stuff. There won't be any food or anything outside.
I'm sorry, say that again about food?
Food, drinks, everything will be inside. So that will be all inside event. But before the event, we can do photo shoot and it's said outside, and exchanging vows, it's said outside.
Gotcha.
Okay, super. So, and then the other thing, so I guess inside, it's, the event itself can go until 10, and then,
Okay.
right, isn't that what our,
Yeah, I've got to double check.
Our
I've got to double check.
agreements
I don't know if I'm off here, so I'll double check. I'll double check.
I think it's 10. I think Rosie's correct.
so,
I think
So,
the end time might have to be a little earlier, Arca, than you have here in your application.
Oh, sure. So what time should it be?
Well, you have a start time at 3:30, but that's when guests are arriving, you'll be doing vows and things at that time, right?
Yes.
The alcohol
I
part of the
think-
event can only be a maximum of 5 hours, so, I mean.
Yeah, alcohol is, I think, from 6:30 to 9:30, I'm thinking, like 6 to
Okay.
9 at most.
Perfect. We needed
Yeah.
that clarification because on the application it says 3:30 to 11:30, and that was not
Oh,
quite.
sorry, that was like the entire time
The
I
entire
booked that
Yep.
venue, but not for the event, not for the alcohol.
Gotcha.
okay, great.
Okay,
And-
that makes us a lot happier
okay, yeah, that's good.
with that clarification.
And you expect 45 people, I see here on the
Yeah,
application?
it'll be 40 people. I wrote 45.
Okay,
It'll
okay.
be less than 40 actually.
all right. And do we, so do we need to have the application amended?
You can vote whatever conditions you want on it, so you can.
Yeah, we can
vote-
put a
you
condition
vote
on
condi-
it.
You can vote conditional approval based on the fact that the alcohol service will be, as he said, between 6:30 and 9:30, and that all guests will be gone from the party by 10 instead of 10:30.
Perfect.
So, yeah, I'll try to make that motion, I guess. I make a motion for the event at the Patton Homestead on 10/30/2021. The event start time at 3:30, alcohol service at
6:30
to 9:30, and then clean up and vacate by 10 or just after.
Second.
That's good.
All right. Any further discussion?
No?
So I have a question. Like, how long can the alcohol period be? Like, what's the maximum limit of the alcohol period?
A maximum of 5 hours.
Okay, so can I keep it a little early, like for maybe 5:30 to 8:30?
Of course.
Yeah, we can amend that.
5:30?
So I'll amend the motion to 5:30 to 8:30 for the alcohol service.
Second.
Give me 1 second. Is that fine? 5:30 to 8:30? I forgot.
Is this his wedding? That's cute.
Yeah, I think it's sorry, I'm
That's
totally
okay.
unprepared now. But I think it's like 5 to 8 or 5:30 to 8 our cocktail hours. I forgot.
Do you want, we can condition it on, have Joe,
Maximum of 3 hours approval, and you'll let me know the time when you
Yeah.
meet
Yeah,
with your
that
wife and
makes
caterer.
yeah, you can adjust the time with Joe. We'll just vote it on a condition that you work out the time with Joe and it's within our kind of regulations for the homestead.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely it will be less than 5 hours.
All right, so I'll amend my amended motion and say that you'll follow up with Joe, and Joe can stipulate the time, and as long as within our parameters.
So
Sure.
I have a question about the food. The caterer will be bringing the food prepared and be serving from their own truck or tables and so forth? Because I don't believe that the kitchen at the homestead is usable for cooking or even heating up or anything.
Yeah, so I think what we are planning is, so they will just deliver the food in the tray, like aluminum foil, no aluminum tray, no heating or anything. We will just keep the food on the table and we will do self-service. So there won't be any cooking or heating.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 And thanks for joining us, Arca. We appreciate it.
Sure, thank you very much.
We'll be in touch before
and,
next
yeah,
week
have fun.
to work out the details. Thank you.
Congratulations. Is it your wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah, my wedding.
Oh,
Congratulations.
that's wonderful. No wonder you can't think. Good for you. Hope it's a
Thank you.
great day.
Thank you. Have a good
Yeah.
night.
Bye-bye.
All right, so that passed unanimously.
So can I do a side note there on that? So do we have some, like, in that case, he applied for the whole event time. Should we specify something in the form that's,
We can work out that, yeah, we can work that out.
right, just so there's no confusion in the future?
Right, right.
Absolutely.
I can see that being a common kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
time period at which, not event time, time period at
Alcohol.
which alcohol will be served.
Yeah.
All right, and so we have
We have
Mr.
George.
Tar available, so we'll go back.
So I make a motion that we untable the discussion
On the MOA.
about the, where is it here?
Conservation Commission MOA
The
for patent.
the MOA with the Hamilton Conservation Commission for land at the Patton Homestead.
Second.
Hi, George, you're here. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Jamie, we just
So-
got to vote it before we.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's
Need a
right.
motion on it.
So, all in favor of the motion to untable that item,
Aye.
say aye. Aye. Passes unanimously.
Okay, George.
So, George, we had a little preliminary discussion. Can you hear us, George? Let's start with that.
I'm here.
All right. So we had a little preliminary discussion before you got on, but there was consensus that we wanted to have the people that have been poring over the document present to discuss some of it. So thanks for joining us. And I guess I'll give you a little bit of time maybe just to present on any of it, and if you're ready and willing to do that. Otherwise, we can start peppering you with questions.
So George, if I can interrupt you before you even start, I apologize, but just to kind of get you up to speed, before you came on, we're talking kind of generalities about the MOA and all the comments, and like Jamie said, that we thought it'd be good if we had some of the kind of major stakeholders to speak with about it, but we had also thought about tabling it for an upcoming meeting, maybe a joint meeting with the CONSCOM, and waiting till the land management plan was drafted, and then we could have a broader discussion about any updates to the MOA and the land management plan. And that's kind of where we left it, and then here you are.
That sounds good to me. I think the version that you have is probably needs to be amended somewhat anyway. I know it was kind of rushed to you by Joe. I sent some of my comments to try to resolve some of Lauren's comments, but I doubt that they were incorporated into the version that you're looking at. And I think you're right. I think the entire Conservation Commission needs to address this. My understanding was that you were insisting on having the land management plan, at least in a rough form.
That was actually Lauren's recommendation in her comments, George. Just, no, sorry to interrupt you, I apologize, that was rude, but just to clarify, that was Lauren's recommendation to have the whole document together before being fully adopted, so.
Yes, well, it's, Virginia Cookson and I were working on that at one time, and Brian has become involved in it too at this point. I've had some discussion with him about it. So it's probably going to come down to the three of us, Virginia, Brian, and myself, to put something together. It's possible Lauren will have some input to that as well. But it's, at this point, it's in a very rough stage and it's not ready to be presented to anybody, but I don't think it will take long to put it together. We have, I think, a fairly clear idea of what we want to do. I think Virginia was basing it on the land management plan that she had worked on previously, and I think probably a lot of it is applicable, all of the rules and regulations and so forth. What we need to add is the particular details for the patent. I was hoping to, from my point of view, I was hoping to get a decision on the MOA before doing the land management plan, because I wanted to do a plan for the entire thing. Our 9.1, which we've been referring to as the Conservancy, was obviously what we were thinking about initially. And if the MOA goes through, as we hope it will, then we need to add that to the management plan as well. And of course, that's the aspect of it that you need, that you're asking for now in order to proceed with the MOA. So I guess we would just go ahead and try to come up with a land management plan for the whole thing. And the part of it that applies to the acreage that we're trying to get added would be just part of the whole plan.
Yeah. I think that seems to make the most sense, George.
Should we table?
Yeah, and I think that just part of it, just at least the way it's drafted, unless we decided to draft it differently, I mean, it says that is incorporated into the agreement, so we can't really adopt it without actually having the document that we're incorporating available.
So George, I have a couple of questions. First is, what do you anticipate roughly what the total acreage will be? The 9.1 acres plus how many of the acres around the Patton homestead?
It's probably about 6.5.
Okay. So about 30.
It may be 6.4 or something. It's less than what we had asked for back in 2019, which was 6.6, but we've cut out quite a bit of the Great Lawn.
Yeah.
We only have that strip along the pond now, so it's going to be less acreage than we had then. So I'm just guessing it's maybe 6.4, 6.5, something like that.
Okay, and then secondly, for any of the improvements or management plans that you have, you're not anticipating coming to the town for that money? You're going to be looking for grants or volunteers? Do I understand that correctly, George?
Well, that's an issue that seems to have different views on it. I don't know what to say about that.
Okay. So that's not your absolute plan. You're going to try to limit the financial burden. If there is any, then obviously that would be taken up as a question. We couldn't say at this point that anybody would necessarily approve it, but you understand that, right? That it
Yes,
doesn't,
right.
that even though you have a plan for, say, the wetland garden, it's expected that you would look diligently for some grant money or engage some volunteers or some sort of...
Yeah, I think that's been Brian and Lauren's view on it. My initial view is that it would be done essentially entirely by volunteer efforts. I wasn't really, at this point, anticipating any expense for the wetlands garden. I thought we could take care of it, just basically on the resources that we had without asking for any money from anybody.
Okay.
But I see the value in trying to get some grant support, and it's probably doable. I'm just not sure exactly where I would go and who is going to try to do that.
Okay.
CPC money, would CPC apply?
A cultural grant, the cultural grants, because it's for the town, it's for education.
It could also possibly, it could also probably be eligible under open space.
Yeah, it could be open space.
Yeah.
There you go, George.
Well, there are grants, there are just, George, DCR has a number of grants. Also, you have, the plan, the agreement talks about being able to create a loop trail on the property. There's a trails grant program through DCR and stuff.
Right.
Having the MOA in place and a land management plan would help make your application to that kind of thing more successful.
Right.
I would say,
Sure.
though, that a lot of times DCR wants some kind of a matching component with that trails grant program. So if we got the MOA and you developed a plan for creating the loop trail, you might pursue that, and then they might have to, Concom might have to come back and say, town, we need, a small amount of money out of the general fund to be able to match this state grant, because your $10,000 will give us 50, and that'll make us finish the trail, things like that. So there are opportunities where I wouldn't want to close off the ability to ask for money in the future, but we just don't want the agreement, I don't think, we don't want the agreement to
Be dependent
Depending on
upon
the
that.
depend on.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, and if we had a more holistic plan, any grant that we apply for we're gonna have a much better chance at it. If it's just the water garden, it's just one thing, but if it's the loop trail plus XYZ, we're more apt to get more traction with the grant.
The signage grants and everything
Right,
else.
signage grant, the trail, et cetera.
I wonder if Greenbelt would even help with that.
They may.
It's worth a shot when we get the ball rolling here.
So George, do you have a timeline for finishing this up and getting it back to us? It looks like you folks have certainly done a lot of work on this, and I know this has been a project for some time. Can you think about a deadline when you'd like to have it ready, bring it to your Concom, and then have it come back to us? Can you narrow that down? Because the
I don't
longer...
know. I would like to get it done as soon as possible, but then I felt that way for a long time.
Right, that's why I'm trying to encourage you to make a timeline for yourself, George. You can do this.
I've also encouraged Brian
Right.
to create a timeline
Well,
for us.
the main thing now is to get the land management plan in some sort of shape that it can be attached to the MOA, I think.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So I talked to Virginia a little bit earlier tonight, and I talked to Brian a few days ago. I think we just need to get together and do something with that. Whether we can get it before our next meeting, I don't know. Maybe it's possible. And then the Concom can discuss when they want to try to set up a meeting with you, if we can get that done.
Right. So maybe if you folks really work diligently on that, maybe you could come back to us in a month and everything would be completed, and then we could get your vision on the road, George. I know you've been working really hard on this for a long time, and I'd like to see it happen for your sake and for the Conservation Commission. I think it's a really important project and a very worthwhile project. So, and I know that Brian is a really dedicated person, and he's just done a wonderful job to date, as well as Lauren. So try to tap into their resources and maybe make yourself a deadline of a month or 6 weeks from now.
I think our second meeting in November is November 15th, I believe. I think we have meetings on the 1st and 15th, so the second meeting in November is just shy of a month from now on November 15th.
What do you think,
Sounds
George?
good to me.
Okay, so we'll shoot for the 15th and see how it goes.
A completed MOA with a land management plan. I have every faith that you can do it. You have a great crew, and I'm looking forward to reading and supporting you through to the finished product, George.
Okay. Yeah, I look forward to it too.
Thanks, George. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you, George.
George, thanks for all your work with Brian on this so far. You've really helped, you really spearheaded this whole effort. Thank you so much for your determination.
Yeah, thank you.
Pass this around.
All right. The next item on our agenda has to do with the policy for serving alcohol on public property, which we've discussed a few times. I don't know about others here, but I know that Joe sent Rosie's markups shortly before the meeting, and they were extensive, and I don't feel like I can really comment too much. I actually did try to look at them, but they were so extensive.
Really? I didn't, God, I thought they were light comments, but do you know something?
Maybe it's just the way Word works. It looked like the whole thing had been changed.
It wasn't, I don't think it was as much.
No,
but
it truly wasn't much, but I apologize for the late response, only because I just didn't.
That wasn't an accusation, Rosie. It was just a...
Yeah, this came through to us yesterday afternoon, and I had about 8 million things to do, including work and then work today. So I sat down at the computer as soon as I got home. So I apologize for that. But do you know something? I think all of us agree this is a really important policy, and if people are not ready to talk about it, because I think the more brain power we have that sits and thinks about this, the better document we'll come up with. So, for instance, I think you brought up something, Jamie, tonight that you were talking about the hours of the event versus the hours of the alcohol, and that's important. We should include that. I had a very long conversation with a colleague on a different Board of Selectmen today, and she gave me some information talking about what kind of events somebody would have alcohol for, and it really helped inform my comments. So if people need more time, I'm certainly all for it.
Yeah, and obviously Bill has put a lot of
Yes.
effort and thought into this, so.
Oh, I forgot all about him.
So, we all.
Kidding, Bill.
Yep.
So, Rosie, I'm just looking at your comments here. Do we want to discuss have you looked at Rosie's comments, Joe?
I mean, I looked at it in about
five seconds, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at it for the first time now.
Because I wanted to try to get it to you all before the meeting.
So maybe just suggestion, because it seems like we're kind of leaning that way, is that we table this until our next meeting and look at Rosie's comments and the version that we got yesterday and the difference kind of between the two. But yours, it didn't look like you had that much changes as I'm looking at mine now. It's just kind of some clarification of things and stuff like that.
You know, I think it's just really important that we have, as much as is possible, have a policy that has absolute boundaries on it, expectations and limits, because alcohol, it's new to serve alcohol at the Patent Homestead. We very much want the Patent Homestead to be successful, and to do that, we need to have some events there, some small events, but we also need to have some guardrails on our alcohol policy. And it's just very, very important to me that we get this right. And so I offered my comments, and I certainly welcome other comments because people might see things differently. I think it's important that we, like, who needs a license, okay? And how do we give that license? And I think understanding that this is our policy, and I think the ABCC policy for Section 14 is so nebulous. No matter who I spoke with, I spoke to several towns about their, or emailed about their policies, and you know, it's just such a vague thing, and I think it opens us up to significant liability and also risks the well-being of our citizens unless we are very careful. So if I seem persnickety about it, I am, because it's important.
You want policies that are going to be meaningful and have longevity. All right.
May I ask a question? So just in terms of guidance for me, going from tonight, it sounds like the board wants to take this up again at the next meeting. We have a latest version that is edited by, amended by Rosie just a little bit ago. If I could suggest that we'll work from that version, and any of you that have comments that you want added to that, please share them with me before we set the agenda next week, so that I can put it together well in advance and get you a version that will be clean and show edits. You know, so one with track changes and one clean with all of your comments, and then that way there, when it's on the agenda on November 1st, you'll be working on one.
Yeah, we'll be working on hopefully a final.
With all comments included, and be able to have a conversation that way.
No, I think that's a good plan. I think the only thing, Joe, that I would ask it is one of Rosemary's questions there is about the 12C caterer license and what type of alcohol is allowed. Just if you could.
12C is all types.
It's all, right?
It's full liquor license.
It's full liquor, right. That's what I thought.
All right.
All right, so.
Anything further on that?
No.
Okay.
So do you want to vote to table that till the 1st?
I make a motion that we table that till our next meeting.
Until the town manager.
Until the town manager, I shouldn't say next meeting, until we're ready to take it up again. How's that?
Second.
I think we can, I think certainly, even if we talk about it a little bit at each meeting and until we get it right, because although, I don't know, I've done just so much research about this and really educating myself about the nuances of that, and so it really does take time for it to sink in so that we understand it.
All right. And then the last, oh, sorry, we have to vote, huh?
We've got to vote on that, yeah.
Vote to table.
Was it second?
Actually, we don't,
Yeah, I did
if we
second.
table it, we don't need to vote on it.
True.
I did.
All right, Darcy.
I tabled it, so we don't, once you don't need a vote for a table, so.
All right.
We can do it if you want, but,
You got to vote to untable, but not to table.
right, it doesn't make sense.
That's right. Thank you.
All right, the last item on our agenda, right, oh yes, is a
About our
debrief and discussion of unconscious bias training workshop that we had.
If no one minds, I have been in touch with the Diversity at Workplace group, and they told me that there were 3 dates, which I sent out to everybody. I haven't read the last email I got from Stella, but I will. And just because I can make all 3 dates, so it didn't really matter to me. I was more interested in what, if you people wanted to participate, you can, but it's not obviously mandatory. So once we get a date done, we'll go on a Zoom and they'll debrief us.
Well, it can be a Zoom? That's the plan? Okay.
Yes.
I was going to say, I don't know if I can make any of those, but I might be able to, since it's a Zoom, that's kind of around my lunchtime. I might be able to join for a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And
Hopefully.
it's just a half-hour meeting, right?
Yeah, it's like maybe 20 minutes even. It's just to see where we are and see if we need more resources, see if anybody else, Bill mentioned that he would like to kind of continue along that
Yeah,
vein. So we'll see what they can offer, and, we can,
that sounds good. And did
Yeah,
we want to
discuss.
debrief? I mean, we had our last meeting, and Darcy, you had left early, so we kind of tabled the debriefing,
Yeah,
kind of
because
the general.
Yeah, I
about the
actually
wrap
had,
up.
I had actually understood what the debrief was. I thought it was just for Michelle and me because we had arranged everything, so I didn't, and then they said no. And Michelle couldn't make it, so I was the only one there anyway. So it worked out, but it was a little bit of miscommunication, so I think it'll work out in the end.
All right.
Okay, so the debrief that you've got, the possible dates that you emailed around, we're all invited.
Yes.
It's not mandatory, but we're all invited. Okay.
Exactly. That's what they hadn't made clear,
All right.
so.
Okay.
I was glad to hear that.
I will,
Makes sense.
I'm the board's beck and call, so whatever you all decide, I will do.
Yeah, and I'm flexible with regard to those dates, so.
And so it looks like there's an email that says for the 26th from 12 to 12:30.
Yep.
That's what I thought,
Yeah, that's it.
that's what was decided upon, Darcy, is that correct?
It sounds like that is what Stella sent over.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll put it in my calendar and hopefully can
Yeah.
attend it.
October 26th, is that
Yep.
right? Okay.
What day of the week is that?
The Tuesday.
It's a week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, that works perfectly.
So I will indicate to her, just confirming.
Sorry, I just might have messed up something, but anyway.
Well, I'll give my opinion just off the cuff here. I thought that was a really, really interesting and really very good training. I really enjoyed the opportunity.
I did
It
too.
really makes you think about so many things.
All right, and then, so for tonight's agenda, we don't necessarily need to have any discussion, right? Because it's gonna happen
No.
on Tuesday. Yeah, I think that's better. I think they would probably wanna have our debriefing with them to facilitating, right?
Yes, yes.
Right.
May I now make a motion?
Yeah.
What motion would that be?
To adjourn.
I'll second
Onward and
that.
upward.
I'll second that
Sean
motion.
has a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone, for joining
We'll
us
see everybody
online.
on
Thanks, everyone, for
Saturday.
joining us here.
See everybody on
Yes,
Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday,
Saturday
Patton
at the
Park
park.
at 9 a.m.